and I'll take over real quick and cover one of the. I guess like if you're into isekais, you might have heard, or if you're into like web reading web novels and stuff like that, you might have heard this one down before. It is the wrong way to use healing magic, also known as Chiumaho no machikatta tsukai Chiyomo no Machikata Tsukaikata. It is done by what is it? Oh yeah. So this is a general series by Shinei Animation and Studio Ad. It's mainly Shinei Animation, very famous animation studio company known for their breadth of work and various very popular children's shows. Obviously, Crayon Shinchan, Doraemon, the list goes on. Alongside you add that they provide staff and do in between finishing and cooperation slash assistance for a lot of anime production projects, as well as subcontractors and staff from Studio Tulip, Seed, stuff like that, and a couple of other studios here. And the staff mostly reflects that Ogata Takahide um, coming in from the Shine side and veteran of various series, taking over. But uh, the other staff are a mixture of I want to say intermediate to mostly veterans. Um, is coming in from the various subcontractors, especially Yasukawa Shogo, helping with the series composition and script, doing coming in from Studio Tulip, as well as a couple of other people from Studio Tulip, as well as Seed Studios there. Um, the original creator for this, Kurokata, this is his first web novel. Again, this web novel original. I forget if this was from Shosetsuka ni Naro. I forget if this was a Naroke web novel or if it was from somewhere else. But I do believe it was a web novel before it became a light novel, and then obviously again became manga and now an anime. So, uh, going over some of the other staff here, the voice acting cast is quite solid, I want to say. It has some slightly like lesser known people as well here. Um, but for the most part, they're all kind of pretty heavily, uh, I want to say, veterans, right? Most of them are pretty much veterans. Um, Yeah, most of them are pretty much veterans, although they're not like the names that you'll see every freaking day in every anime season. Um, Nana Sayaka, I believe she's done a couple of like main roles and stuff like Precure. Um, uh, Tanaka Atsuko, this is probably the most famous name out of the lot. She's done voice for Major, with Kukusanagi and Ghost in the Shell uh, for a lot of the other sort of Ghost in the Shell related spin-offs and not spin-offs, but like other stories and stuff like that. That's not like the original one. I believe the original Ghost in the Shell Major was voiced by Sakamoto Maya. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But she did voice a lot of the other ones. So she does a lot of like boyish, not mannish, like more like tough kind of female kind of roles. And obviously, kind of other like I don't want to say B-listers, but slightly lesser known veterans here. Sakata Shogo, Takanashi Kengo, Aizawa Saya. A lot of these people are not like new; they've been in the game for a decent amount, but they're not like super A S tier lister.
The original
So,
Major was voiced by Atsuko Tanaka, by the way.
really, I thought the original one was Sakamoto Maya. Okay.
Apparently, Sakamoto Maya voices the doll Major at the end of the movie when
Oh,
she's in
okay,
the
okay,
doll
okay,
body.
okay. Okay,
And she
okay, okay.
also does it in the Arise series.
Okay, okay. So yeah, if you don't know this person slash the voice, you probably should. But yeah, she is one of these sort of I guess archetype or not archetypes, but like representatives of that sort of like masculine voice there.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, she does an amazing job. I think honestly, how do I say this? This is like an isekai series where like you have the high school students come in and the main character is a male character. right? It's Usato Ken. It's like a male character voiced by Sakato Shogo. Um, it's like a very sort of generic Japanese main character, male character. Oh, what am I doing here? Oh man, I gotta toughen up. Like it's that sort of like a go get him, not go get him, but it's like Japanese schoolboy kind of character. And a lot of the other like characters are very standard, like either isekai, wizard slash like um Nekomimi kind of small girl kind of characters, or they're like the standard again, like schoolgirl, schoolboy kind of characters. But the one unique character amongst in the cast is this character named Rose. I should probably say the summary soon, but I can kind of describe it here real quick. But it's like Rose is supposed to be this like very tough, um, like no shits given, no excuses, tough, demanding teacher. Um, she's obviously still like on the side of the good guys, but she's supposed to be this like super demanding teacher. Um, that helps the main character grow up, right? And she's obviously a very vital character in the series. And in my opinion, um, how she was voiced and how she was depicted in the anime would literally make or break the series, pretty much. And I'm glad that they got her, Tanaka Atsuko, into this voice because she voices this character very, very, very well. Like she does this like very um proper balance between not being too like I'm trying to like not be insulting, but it's like I don't think what is it? I keep forgetting the name. Who was the one who voiced yeah, Kobayashi Yu, right? Kobayashi Yu is a great voice actress and she does like tomboy voice, right? But I don't think her voice would have completely fit Rose because Rose needed this balance between not being too like mannish, but also being like legit just like tough, right? Um, so I think she did a very good job here in how this sort of how it was kind of balanced, in my opinion. So, and I think if it was given to Koshimizu Ami, if it was given to um some other like voice character. I think they would have made like Tomatsu Haruka, right? She used to do like boyish characters. I think it would have been a little bit too light. So
What
again,
about
I'm glad that they
Romy Park?
Romy Park. Romy Park is a pretty decent choice, but it's like she does her. Yeah, Romy Park is a decent choice, but if I remember correctly, she does a lot of like she does like boyish voices, but I forget. Yeah, I think Romy Park would have been a pretty good choice as well.
Yeah.
But it's also like she would need to make sure that she would actually need to make sure her voice register will be even lower than her like standard voicings because like she tends to voice Shota roles, right? And
Sometimes,
Shota
yeah.
voices
I think her
like
most popular like androgynous voice recently was obviously
yeah,
Hanj from Attack on Titan, right?
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
but I mean, she could do it. She could do a really deep voice as well.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think yeah, I think Romy Park would have been a good choice. It was just that, like, I've gotten used to hearing, like, her fucking, Shota voice so much
Yeah,
because
I
she
don't
has
know if
so many
you've
iconic
heard
Shota voices.
her. I don't know if you've heard her voice. Black Knight from Grand Blue. You should look that up. I think that's like,
Yeah, I'm gonna search that.
I think
Yeah.
the voice she does for that role is like fucking pure sex, to be honest. But
Sex. Yeah, but yeah, I think Roby Park would definitely have been a good role too. But yeah, I think it like this sort of character. It's like similar to Medaka Box, or Medaka in Medaka Box, right? It's like a voice where or there's always like in these sorts of series, there's always that like one character that if you fuck up this voice, you're gone. It's done.
Yeah.
Like this series can so I'm glad it was so overall the cast was pretty solid. Um the OPED I was not at all impressed by. It was the opening was below average in my opinion, and the ending, I believe was a chocho. Yeah, it was a chocho song. It was like Green Wind or something like that, like Jade Wind or some shit. Yeah, Green Jade by Chocho. I was not impressed by that at all. So it wasn't because Chocho is a bad singer. She sang it fine. I was just not impressed by the actual composition itself. Pretty
Oh yeah, name
sleep
one
edition.
Chocho song you like.
Starlog. Like, fucking
Damn,
Starlog.
all right, you got
But
me there. That's really good.
yeah, yeah. I'm not. Hey, I'm not a fake Choso fan. All right, like I've listened to enough songs, but
I was gonna say if you pick something like
Yasashisa no Ryu would be my second one. Yasashisa no Ryu is good. Honestly, most of the I would say m- first and second season Ilya, Prisma Ilya, Chocho were like peak, and then third and fourth season kind of dropped off. But it's like you can't expect too much from like every season, right? But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Um, I think Edie was the composition was unfortunately a little bit lacking. The uh, visuals for Chumaho was also how do I say this? It's like it was the direction was a little bit weird. A lot of the frames in the actual animation kind of went to the general dialogue scenes, right? And then during the actual like action and battle scenes, for instance, a lot of the animations, a lot of the movement, the actual animation art, 2D animation art was relatively limited, and a lot of the animation was focused around um, using computer editing, using to move sort of static frames of the the primary frames, right? To give it the image that there was a lot. But the interesting part was the most detailed animation within a lot of the action scenes was not even the actual kicking and punching and slashing and hacking and running of the various characters. It was actually the water. I was watching this one series where, or not series, what am I saying? An episode, it was, I think, episode five, where they were traveling along a river down like and heading almost off a waterfall or something like that, right? And while like stuff was happening and they were being chased and all this crap, right? And you'd expect, right, that the water would be just very standard kind of lines, some speed lines, waterfalls, very small like water animations, and then the running and everything else would be animated, right? The water splashes animation wise, we're so detailed. We're super detailed. But then the actual characters and speaking were pretty much static. And I'm just sitting here thinking, what is going on right now? Like why is this waterfall being animated in more detail than the actual characters? So it was a little bit weird the directing that was being taken. Uh and I'm not sure if I can really praise it, but for the most part, it was relatively innocuous, I guess. Um, so that aside with the audiovisuals and the staff, let me move on to the premise real quick. Uh, Usato Ken is a normal high school schooler, blah blah. He has average grades. You know, he's a Japanese schoolboy. He has two friends, uh, the president and the vice president of the student council, who are both again, essentially Ubermensch, right? They are perfect students. They're super popular. They can do everything, and he becomes friends with them. And I think they're all kind of part of the student council or something like that. I forget. I think Usato Ken is like secretary or something like that in the student council. And then it's all interrupted. And the three characters, Usato Ken, I believe, Inukami Suzune, the sort of I want to say heroine or one of the main heroines, right? As well as Ryusen Kazuki. So Inukami is the student council president, one of the main heroines, and she has um her relationship with Usato is that she has a slight interest in him, but she's supposed to be also half a gag character because once she gets chucked into the isekai, she starts being like, "Oh shit, magic! Like I can do magic things, and there are like magic animals and stuff, and like elves." As she like runs around and being crazy because all she wants to do is just explore the magic fantasy world. And then what is it? The vice president, who's also super popular and super good at everything, the guy, Ryusen Kazuki, is also a friend of Usato Ken, and he kind of ends up becoming like the best swingman there ever was, essentially, for the main character. So all these three get chucked into the isekai. Um, he his the two student council mates, find their powers like battle power. The guy, I think the guy, the handsome dude, the vice president wingman, has ends up getting like these battle powers that's like really good. And then the student council president, the girl, gets these like thunder magic powers, which is obviously good. And the main character is like, as per usual, can't really find his powers initially, and he's like, "Oh man, why am I always average and crap?" and blah blah. Blah. But later finds out he has an affinity for healing magic, which is very rare. But then he finds out that the sort of squadron, the captain of the healing magic squad, is the super tough, super tomboyish teacher by the name of Rose, who forcibly takes him under her tutelage and shows him how to use his healing magic for the sake of the heroes and for good, which is sort of like growing his magic to heal others. But the thing is, the way he gets taught isn't just like, hey, you should do more magic things. It's like the way he gets taught is like he he gets trained by Rose to become almost an angel of the battlefield, and that he has to be tough enough to run into the battlefield, pick up people, and just like scoot them out into the back lines, and like heal them pretty much on the spot. And obviously, in order to be able to do that, in order to be able to run into danger into the battlefield and pick up people and run off with them and help heal them back at camp, he needs to be physically trained in a very very tough manner. So a bunch of training arc kind of things happen where at the beginning where he gets thrown off into like a remote island and he gets forced to run around and do various very tough stuff, physically demanding stuff on his own in order to both grow his healing magic and to become the tough person so he can actually run around and help people. So it's that sort of stuff. There's some foreshadowing of bosses and bad things happening later on, but that's mostly it. It's like a very after that, it kind of develops into a standard power fantasy, where the main character has healing magic, but he also ends up becoming the toughest, baddest dude in the cast. A bunch of girls are interested in him. The handsome dude that Usato, the main character, should be jealous of is actually the nicest wingman you'll ever know. All of his other healing magic squadron mates are all nice guys that are, also helping him out. And obviously his mentor is like super tough, but also a nice person, you know, all of that. And he has a huge like pet bear pet. Uh, and that's more about it. It is like a guilty 1 a.m. in the morning. You're reading it, in bed, kind of fan fiction, power fantasy that uh, I, again, will fully admit I had the pleasure of reading, but it was a guilty pleasure. And so far in the anime, it is more or less a straight adaptation of it, which I think the I think the source material is okay. It's like above average in terms of the other isekais, compared to the other isekais. But I just don't think that um well, first off, being above average compared to the other isekais in this day and age doesn't mean as much, or it might mean less than compared to before, as near and dark might attest to. And I think as much as Shinei Animation and director Ogata tried, I I'm not impressed with the audio visuals enough to be like, wow, like you guys should fucking watch this. Like it's definitely not some Tenshoku excuse me, Mushoku Tensei kind of stuff. So, I can only give it so much. I think it's a pretty straightforward adaptation. I think it has palatable enough audio visuals, but I'm not very impressed by any of its action scenes or battle scenes or what have you. And at that point, I think I would only really be able to give it a even if I do like it as a guilty pleasure, I think I would only be able to give it a 5.5, maybe 6. Probably 5.5 or maybe 6. 5.5. Because it's like at that point 5 or maybe even an entire point, probably half comes from Rose in the anime. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. He's such a cool character. Gosh, she's such a fucking cool character. But I would I think I will be able to recommend this to people who like reading isekai stuff in general because I do think it is above average in that sort of general area. But I don't think I can honestly recommend this to people who are not already deep in the sauce. You know what I mean? So that's sort of how I view the series. Take it how you will. It is a guilty pleasure read. It is an isekai read. You should, if you are deep in the sauce, yeah, you should probably check it out before you check out some of the other crap out there. Um, but if you're not really into that sort of stuff, then I would not recommend that you read this. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had about this series. Again, it's a pretty straightforward adaptation. It's a pretty relatively straightforward premise, with some foreshadowing here and there, but there's not much to it. So again, this is the wrong way to use healing magic, also known as Chiu Maho no Machikata Tsukaikata. It was an original, I believe, web novel, and now it is an anime adaptation by Shinei Animation as well as Studio Ad plus some subcontractors. Please do check it out if you are interested in this kind of stuff.